English Channel, June 5, 1944, 11:00 p.m. The sea is rough, wind howls across the water, rain lashes the decks of thousands of ships stretching from horizon to horizon. This is the largest armada in history, 500 ships, 11,000 aircraft, 156,000 soldiers prepared to storm the coast of Nazi-occupied France. They have trained for 2 years. They have planned for every contingency. And now, after months of preparation, after countless delays, after agonizing debates, the invasion is finally underway. But the weather is terrible. Waves crash against the landing craft. Soldiers, packed shoulder to shoulder, vomit into their helmets. Officers check and recheck their watches. Hour. The moment the first troops hit the beaches is less than 7 hours away. There is no turning back now. In a command ship off the coast, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Supreme Allied Commander, stares out at the darkness. He has made the most consequential decision of his life. 24 hours ago, he postponed the invasion because of bad weather. His meteorologists predicted a brief break in the storm on June 6th. Based on that prediction, Eisenhower gave the order. The invasion will proceed. If the weather holds, if the plan works, if the soldiers fight as they have been trained, the Allies will establish a foothold in France. They will begin the liberation of Europe. They will strike a blow against Nazi Germany that will lead within a year to total victory. But if the weather worsens, if the Germans are ready, if the defenses are too strong, 156,000 men will be slaughtered on the beaches. The invasion will fail, the war will be prolonged, and Eisenhower will be responsible for the greatest military disaster in history. Eisenhower has already written a message in case of failure. Our landings have failed to gain a satisfactory foothold, and I have withdrawn the troops. My decision to attack at this time and place was based upon the best information available. The troops, the air, and the navy did all that bravery and devotion to duty could do. If any blame or fault attaches to the attempt, it is mine alone. He carries the message in his pocket. He hopes he will never have to use it. At midnight, the first planes take off from bases in England. Paratroopers and glider troops, over 23,000 men, will be dropped behind enemy lines to secure bridges, disrupt communications, and prevent German reinforcements from reaching the beaches. Many will be scattered, many will land in the wrong zones, many will be killed before dawn. But their mission is essential. They must create chaos in the German rear, buying time for the troops landing on the beaches. At 3:00 a.m., the naval bombardment begins. Battleships, cruisers, and destroyers open fire. Thousands of shells rain down on German positions. The night sky lights up with explosions. The ground shakes. German bunkers, pillboxes, and artillery positions are targeted, but the bombardment is rushed, limited by darkness and concerns about hitting Allied paratroopers inland. Many German defenses survive intact. At 5:30 a.m., as the sky begins to lighten, bombers strike the coast. Over 200 aircraft drop bombs on German positions, but cloud cover is thick. Many bombs fall inland, missing the beach defenses entirely. The German bunkers remain. At 6:30 a.m., the first landing craft approach the shore. 5 beaches stretch across 50 miles of Normandy coast. From west to east, Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, Sword. American forces will assault Utah and Omaha. British forces will assault Gold and Sword. Canadian forces will assault Juneau. The plan is to land in waves. The first wave, assault infantry and engineers, will neutralize beach defenses and clear obstacles. The second wave will bring heavy weapons and vehicles. Subsequent waves will pour in reinforcements, supplies, and equipment. Within hours, 156,000 troops will be ashore. Within days, 500,000. Within weeks, over 2 million. But first, they have to survive the beaches. Utah Beach, 6:30 a. Amphibious, Utah Beach is the westernmost landing zone. The plan is for the 4th Infantry Division to land, link up with paratroopers of the 82nd and 101st Airborne who dropped inland during the night, and push westward to cut off the Cotentin Peninsula and capture the port of Cherbourg. But the landing does not go as planned. Strong currents push the landing craft nearly 2 miles south of the intended landing zone. The first troops come ashore in the wrong place. Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt, Jr., Assistant Commander of the 4th Infantry Division, is in the first wave. At 56 years old, he is the oldest man on the beach and the only general to land with the assault troops. He is the son of President Theodore Roosevelt. He has a heart condition. He walks with a cane. He insisted on landing with the first wave over the objections of his superiors. Roosevelt wades ashore and immediately realizes they are in the wrong place. He sees unfamiliar landmarks. The beach defenses are not where they should be. He gathers his officers and makes a decision. We'll start the war from right here. It turns out to be a fortunate mistake. The defenses in this sector are lighter than at the planned landing zone. Casualties are lower. Engineers quickly clear obstacles and open paths off the beach. Troops move inland. By the end of the day, 23 Suzerain troops have landed on Utah Beach. Casualties are fewer than 200, the lightest of any beach. But Utah is the exception. Elsewhere, the landings are far more costly. Omaha Beach, 6:30 a.m. Omaha Beach is 5 miles long, backed by steep bluffs up to 100 feet high. The beach is narrow. At high tide, there are only a few yards between the water and the seawall. The bluffs are honeycombed with German bunkers, pillboxes, and trenches. Every inch of the beach is covered by interlocking fields of fire. German machine guns, mortars, and artillery are positioned to kill anyone who sets foot on the sand. The plan assumes that the pre-invasion bombardment will destroy these defenses. It does not. Most German positions survive, and when the first landing craft reach the shore, the Germans are waiting. The doors of the landing craft drop. German machine guns open fire. Men are cut down before they can move. Bodies fall into the water. The waves turn red. Soldiers jump into water over their heads, weighed down by 60 pounds of equipment, and drown. Others make it to the beach but find no cover. They huddle behind obstacles, steel hedgehogs, wooden stakes, concrete barriers, as bullets tear through the air around them. Entire units are pinned down within minutes. Company A of the 116th Infantry Regiment lands directly in front of a heavily fortified German position. Within 10 minutes, 96% of the company is dead or wounded. Medics trying to reach the wounded are shot. Engineers trying to clear obstacles are killed. Tanks that were supposed to support the infantry sink in the rough seas before reaching shore. Of the 29 amphibious tanks launched, only 2 make it to the beach. Officers are killed, sergeants are killed, radios are destroyed, communication breaks down. Landing craft carrying follow-on waves circle offshore, unable to land because the beaches are clogged with burning vehicles, dead bodies, and wounded men. Some craft turn back, others discharge their troops into deep water. Many soldiers drown. By 8:00 a.m., Omaha Beach is a scene of chaos and carnage. Thousands of men are pinned down along the seawall. German fire is relentless. The invasion is stalling. Commanders offshore consider abandoning Omaha and diverting troops to other beaches. But gradually, small groups of men begin to move. A few soldiers find gaps in the defenses. A destroyer, the USS McCook, moves dangerously close to shore and fires directly at German bunkers. Officers rally their men. A colonel shouts, "2 kinds of people are staying on this beach, the dead and those who are going to die. Now let's get the hell out of here." Slowly, in small groups, American soldiers work their way up the bluffs. They attack German positions with grenades, rifles, and flamethrowers. By mid-morning, the first Americans reach the top of the bluffs. By afternoon, they have pushed inland. By evening, 34 Suzerain troops have landed on Omaha Beach, but the cost is staggering. over 2,000 American casualties. Omaha is the bloodiest beach of D-Day. Gold Beach. 725A. Monsieur Gold Beach, east of Omaha, is assigned to the British 50th Infantry Division. The British landing is delayed by 55 minutes compared to the American landings. This delay is deliberate. The tide is higher on the eastern beaches, and British commanders want more water to float specialized armor. Sherman tanks modified with flails to clear mines, flamethrowers to attack bunkers, and bridges to cross obstacles. These Hobart's funnies, named after their designer Major General Percy Hobart, prove invaluable. Flail tanks clear paths through minefields. Engineer tanks blow holes in seawalls. Bridge-laying tanks cross anti-tank ditches. The specialized armor allows British forces to advance off the beach more quickly than the Americans at Omaha, who lack such equipment. But Gold Beach is still contested. German positions along the beach open fire as the landing craft approach. The village of Le Hamel, fortified with bunkers and machine gun nests, holds out for hours. British troops take casualties as they fight through the obstacles and defenses. By the end of the day, 25,000 troops have landed on Gold Beach. Casualties are around 400. British forces have pushed several miles inland, linking up with Canadian forces from Juno Beach and advancing toward the city of Bayeux. Juno Beach. 7:45 a.m. Juno Beach is assigned to the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division. The Canadians face some of the strongest defenses of any beach. The Germans have fortified the coastal villages with concrete bunkers, machine gun nests, and artillery positions. Offshore obstacles, mines attached to stakes and barriers, are thick. The tide is rising, covering the obstacles, making them harder to see and avoid. Many landing craft strike mines and explode. Others are hit by German artillery. Canadian casualties in the first wave are heavy, but the Canadians push forward. They fight through the villages, clearing bunkers house by house. Engineers use explosives to blow gaps in the seawall. Tanks support the infantry, firing at German positions. By mid-morning, the Canadians have secured the beach and are advancing inland. They push farther inland than any other force on D-Day, advancing nearly 7 miles and reaching the outskirts of Caen. But Caen, a key D-Day objective, does not fall. German reinforcements arrive, and the Canadians are forced to dig in. By the end of the day, 21,000 Canadian troops have landed on Juno Beach. Casualties are around 1,000, higher than Gold or Sword, but still a successful landing. Sword Beach, 7:25 a.m. Sword Beach, the easternmost landing zone, is assigned to the British 3rd Infantry Division. Their objective is to push inland quickly and capture Caen, a major city and transportation hub. If Caen falls on D-Day, the Allies will have room to maneuver and space to bring in reinforcements. The landing at Sword is opposed but not as heavily as Omaha. British troops, supported by specialized armor, clear the beach defenses and push inland. But as they advance, they encounter German counterattacks. The 21st Panzer Division, stationed near Caen, launches an armored thrust toward the coast. German tanks reach within sight of the beach before being stopped by British anti-tank guns and naval gunfire. By evening, British forces have secured Sword Beach but have not captured Caen. The city remains in German hands. It will not fall until July 9th, over a month later. This delay will become a source of controversy, with some critics arguing that the British should have pushed harder on D-Day. By the end of the day, 29,000 troops have landed on Sword Beach. Casualties are around 630. By midnight on June 6, 1944, the Allies have landed 156,000 troops on the beaches of Normandy. Over 10,000 casualties, killed, wounded or missing. The cost is high, but it could have been far worse. Pre-invasion estimates predicted casualties as high as 50,000 to 100,000. The invasion succeeds for several reasons. Deception. Operation Fortitude, an elaborate deception campaign, convinced the Germans that the invasion would come at Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy. German forces were positioned in the wrong place. Even after D-Day began, the Germans believed Normandy was a diversion and held back reserves, waiting for the real invasion. Airborne operations. The paratroopers and glider troops dropped behind the beaches created chaos and confusion. They disrupted German communications, blocked reinforcements, and prevented coordinated counterattacks. Though scattered and suffering heavy casualties, they accomplished their mission. Naval and air superiority. The Allies controlled the seas and the skies. The German Navy could not interfere. The Luftwaffe was almost absent. Allied aircraft destroyed bridges, railroads, and German positions, preventing reinforcements from reaching the beaches quickly. Individual courage. Time and again, small groups of soldiers, squad leaders, individual riflemen, medics, made the difference. They found gaps in defenses. They led assaults on bunkers. They rallied demoralized troops. The invasion succeeded because thousands of ordinary men did extraordinary things. German mistakes. Rommel was away from his headquarters on D-Day, visiting his wife in Germany. Hitler was asleep and could not be woken to authorize the release of panzer reserves. The German command structure was confused and slow to react. By the time German reinforcements arrived in strength, the Allies had established a foothold. But the invasion is only the beginning. Over the following days and weeks, the Allies pour men, equipment and supplies into Normandy. Artificial harbours, mulberry harbours, are towed across the channel and assembled off the coast, allowing ships to unload without capturing a port. A pipeline is laid across the channel to supply fuel. By the end of June, over 850 zero troops, 150 2,000 vehicles, and 570 2,000 tons of supplies have been landed in Normandy. The beachhead is secure. The Allies are ready to break out, but breaking out proves difficult. The Normandy hedgerows, thick, centuries-old walls of earth and vegetation surrounding every field provide perfect defensive positions for the Germans. Every field becomes a small fortress. Progress is slow and costly. In the east, British and Canadian forces fight brutal battles around Caen, trying to capture the city and draw German armored divisions toward them. In the west, American forces fight through the hedgerows toward Cherbourg and Saint-Lô. Casualties mount. The advance is measured in hundreds of yards per day. Then, on July 25th, the Americans launch Operation Cobra. Bombers carpet-bomb German positions. American tanks and infantry exploit the breach. Within days, the American breakout succeeds. Patton's Third Army races across France. By August, Paris is liberated. By September, Allied forces reach the German border. The Normandy invasion makes all of this possible. Without D-Day, there is no liberation of France. Without the foothold on the beaches, there is no drive across Europe. Without the sacrifice of the 156 Zeeuwen men who landed on June 6, 1944, there is no Allied victory. How did 156 zero Allied troops land on Normandy beaches in the largest amphibious invasion ever? They landed through planning that took 2 years, through training that prepared them for every scenario, through logistics that coordinated thousands of ships and aircraft, through deception that fooled the enemy, through courage that carried them across the beach under fire, and through sacrifice that left 10 Zeeuwen casualties on the first day alone. The invasion was not inevitable. It could have failed. The weather could have been worse. The Germans could have been ready. The defenses could have been too strong. But it succeeded because men like Theodore Roosevelt decided to start the war from right here, because destroyers like the USS McCook risked running aground to provide fire support, because soldiers at Omaha Beach, pinned down and bleeding, decided to get up and move, because engineers cleared obstacles under fire, because medics treated the wounded while bullets cracked around them, because pilots flew through flak, because sailors navigated through mined waters. The Normandy invasion was the largest amphibious operation in history. It involved more ships, more troops, more planning, and more courage than any military operation before or since. It was the hinge on which the war in Europe turned. It was the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. And it succeeded because 156 Zuiderzeren men, knowing the risks, knowing the cost, stepped off landing craft onto the beaches of Normandy and refused to fail. They did not fight for glory. They fought for the men beside them. They fought because they had been ordered to. They fought because they believed in something larger than themselves, the defeat of tyranny, the liberation of Europe, the hope that their children would live in a world without war. Many of them did not survive the day. Many more did not survive the war, but their sacrifice was not in vain. Within a year, Nazi Germany surrendered. Europe was free. And the world, though scarred by war, had a chance to rebuild. That is how 156 Zuiderzeren Allied troops landed on Normandy beaches. Not easily, not without cost, but successfully. And that success changed the course of history.